All right. Good evening once again. You're all welcome to our live session this evening. Today's Thursday, so we've had quite a week, and yes, we'll break these things down on the charts and also as regards our journals. So, anyways, you guys are welcome. Now, I think we have some new persons in our midst. Um, I think we have Ben Rodriguez, stage S. We also have Bachili. Is that correct?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
All right. You're welcome to our live session this evening. Is this your first time joining us?
Yes, it is my first time.
Oh, this is your first time. Okay, interesting. All right, yeah, welcome. And yeah, let's get to know you a little bit, if that's okay. So what's your name? Is that okay? Seems like the network took him off for a bit. All right. Yeah. While we wait for him to come back, I think we'll just get straight into what we have for the week. So I'll share my screen now, and yeah, let's see what we have. Interesting week so far, I'd say. Um, I think I'm somewhere around almost 12% up right now. It's just above 11%. Very interesting. I'd say we'll go over these traits and yeah, see how far. See how far. Okay, yeah, GN is right on the spot. But we'll come to GN in a bit. Let's look at the GPYs first. Okay, let's look at the GPYs first. So as you see on the top right, the Japanese yen is weak, obviously from top right. You can see it is weak across board, and these pairs very well benefiting from the weakness from the Japanese yen. Now, AJ is trying to break back above this resistance level as we speak. I'm still not interested, at least until we break above here or come back for a retest here. But yeah, so far this is the price action from ADJPY. CAT JPY also is bouncing at this support level, so we'll see that in a minute. Let me see. Yes, so CAT JPY is also bouncing off support level. Now I'm still very much interested in buying this guy, but I think we need to see the breakout above like the key level and then the retest for buy. So still a long way to go if you ask me for CAT J. CHF JPY is back at this weekly resistance. We're trying to test the level now. So yeah, we'll see how this plays out. Now I'm expecting a breakout, of course, for this trade idea to continue playing out smoothly. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. EJ is once again trying to break out of this key level. Now I want a proper breakout. I don't want price to be jittering around the level. I need a proper breakout, something like really to the upside. So of course, this month is very important for some of these pairs because it plays a vital role as to whether or not they will break out or not. So EJ is an example. If we have a breakout this month, then of course I'll be looking forward to a retest, a pullback, and to go long from EJ. And if I'm to add EJ to my portfolio, that will be 11 trades. That's all in the future. Let's see. Pound JPY is also pushing in profit. I'm long, and yeah, so far so good. We're pushing really good. NJ, let's see. So not much of a difference to be honest with NJ. And like I said, I'm not interested right now unless we come back for a retest here, or at least we break out of this level. So Nothing too interesting on 8 for NZJPY. And then USJPY. Interestingly, we may not be coming back for that manipulation I was expecting or I'm looking for. Okay, so I think we explained that in the last session because I was waiting for something of this sort to look out for buys. But it seems like we're not going to get that because the dollar is picking up strength. Yesterday we had the Fed's meeting, and of course they kept interest rates the same. That was pretty much expected. Looking at how the economy is doing, inflation is still sticky. It was not a surprise that the Fed kept interest rates the same. I don't, in my opinion, I don't really see a likelihood of a cut, an interest rate cut. I don't see it in my opinion. Looking at what the data tells us from the fundamentals. So amongst like other banks and other economies, I think the US is like one of the last to maybe cut. Okay, there's just so much going on, right? So much going on with the US right now. And I don't think that they're ready for any rate cuts at the moment. So it was pretty much expected. And now it's not just about what was done in terms of was it a cut, was it unchanged, was it a rate hike? It's also what does the chairman of the board say. For example, in the Bank of England, they cut rates today by I think 25 basis points to I think 4.25%. Now, what was the outcome of the meeting? These things are also very important. For example, the Fed chairman Jerome Powell, he had things to say. The economy is still very much stable, still resilient. He just had a lot to say. His expression, his statements matter a lot to the market, and then the dollar gains strength off of that. The interest rate decision and also his statement. So that happened yesterday. So yeah, UJ is picking up strength. The dollar is picking up strength from that. And that's why you see amongst all of these pairs to the right, you see that UJ is like the highest, right? So I've always said this, it's not just about the currency that is weak. You also look at the currency that is strong. And that's why dollar yen is like on the higher side because the dollar is very strong and then the yen is weak. But you compare them together and that's why you have so much strength here. Let's see, moving on, AD card. Yes, I think I dropped an update here yesterday because we're testing what looks like a resistance level. Now, to be honest, anything aside key levels are not particularly interesting for me because I always want to take my entries at key levels. But it doesn't also mean that you can't look out for potential levels to sell up. Okay, that's not wrong. But then the only issue I have with levels in between key levels is that there are too many, right? You can always adjust it because I think I used some other examples here in the past. So if we do something like this, right? This makes sense, okay? It's support here. If I drag this all the way to the left, right? So support here, resistance, 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 support, resistance. Now, if I come down to the weekly time frame, you see that that's one of the reasons why we dropped off of this zone. In fact, I mean, we discussed this in our previous sessions. If you guys remember how we discussed AD card and how this was a potential retest. So you look at this and now you're thinking, okay, should I wait for price to come back here to sell, or am I comfortable enough using this as the next level? Now they are both levels. The difference is because there are too many things to look at. Sometimes it diminishes your confidence in these levels. So that's why I try not to, because if I sell here, right? Now, first of all, the market has hit the key level, but I'd say it hasn't done that. If I sold here, or if I sell here, and then the market stops me out, and then goes to this level, I want to sell again. But the thing is, which of these levels do I trust better? So to avoid such feelings, I just prefer to use the very key levels. Right? That's why I lean into using key levels in my trading. So I hope that explains the point. But yeah, I still think AD card has room to downside from this point, especially if this would be the lower high, because that's the question, right? We have formed a lower high here, and then the market went on to create a new low. But the question is, where will the next lower high form, right? So it's the question that this level will have to answer, if it will be here or if price will come back to form equal highs. That's what we'll find out. What else? Euro card. I think I have an alert on Euro card. Let me see. Uh, okay. Let me see. Hold on. I might have to switch this network. So let's go back to Euro card. Let's see. Okay. Sorry guys, just give me a minute. All right. Let me just switch this because I think it's beginning to disturb us. Okay. I guess it's working now. So Euro card. Yes, I have an alert down here, which will tell me when price comes down to test our support. Remember, we have eyes on Euro card for longs, so I'm very interested in this. So I want to see how this breakout retest will form. If it pulls back and finds support, then of course I'd love to go long. If price finds support at the key level, so that's about it for Euro card. Pound card is once again trying to attempt this breakout. So let's see. Now hold up, guys. Let me switch to this. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I think this should be. Hopefully, this is much better. Okay. So let me just go back and just quickly run through. Let's see. Uh, yeah, but can you guys hear me? Just making sure. Just making sure we're on the same page. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, please go on. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Sweet. So pound card is this week having a little bit of bullish momentum as we see. So we're pushing back to maybe test this resistance level again. Now, I'm still hoping we get the breakout because if we do, that puts us in a much better position, right, to hit take profit. Or maybe we'll just consolidate for like a little while. We don't know yet. But yeah, hopefully we get the breakout, right? NZD card is let's see. Yeah, pretty much just there, slightly in profit. That's about it. What else? USD card. Now, this guy is becoming interesting because I do think that the dollar has bottomed out in terms of losing strength. I don't really see the dollar losing like so much more strength from now. I don't. It's not feasible. It can happen, of course, but I don't really see it, to be honest. So what I'm saying is, it does look like we're going to have like upside continuations on dollar-related pairs. So, for example, USD card. Now, of course, I'm looking out for a break and retest. So, the first step will be the breakout, right? And so far, we just might have that. So we'll see how all of these come into play. So, yes. What else? Euro AUD, nothing for me. Euro NZD, nothing for me as well. yeah, it's a break and retest, but I think we already explained how I wouldn't really consider this a breakout since we're just right there at the key level, if that makes sense. Pound AUD, let's see. Now we may be missing out on this guy. We may be missing out on this guy, but hopefully not. The reason why I say this is that pound NZD is already bouncing, so pound AUD and pound NZD kind of move alike. Now, if pound NZD is going to bounce here and move, it just might mean that pound AUD might put in the higher low here. Now, because pound AUD might put in the higher low here, doesn't mean that I will just then go ahead and buy it. So that I don't miss out, or yeah, the fear of missing out, FOMO, so that I don't miss out on this potential move. No, so I would not want to go against my plan, no matter the situation. So if it happens that pound AUD misses my entry point, but pound NZD plays out, that's fine, right? That's also fine. So I would prefer for price to come back to the key level, test and find support. That's what I'm waiting for on this guy. If it does happen, then fine. It means that we're going to be able to add this trade to our portfolio. So we'll see how this goes, right? I want the retest, but so far we're just seemingly putting in the higher low at this point. But we're going to find out if that is truly the case. Pound NZD. Yeah, another funny pair. Now, I'd like you guys to, I don't know, make a comment on this guy once again because we came back into drawdown. I think we noticed that, right? So how did you feel when price came back into profit? That was let me see, a few weeks ago when we had this, and then immediately coming back into drawdown. How did you feel if you're holding if you were holding pound NZD? How did you feel in that moment? Any hands, please?
Yeah. I was watching it. So later, I just felt like now I think that it will hit my stop loss. So I was just waiting for it. So like surprisingly, it just turned. So now no, it's back to the key level again. So we
Interesting.
are waiting. Yeah.
Yes, we are. We sure are waiting. That's true. That's correct. Any other hands? Any other
Yeah.
um
Okay. I was actually calm actually because what's happening again happened before. It's like deja vu all over again because I was in this trade. I think it was pound AUD actually. I think it was going down. Then I exited the trade and later went back up and hit my take profit. So it's happening again right now. So I didn't exit the trade. I was just calm. I didn't allow my emotions to just take over and everything.
very
So
interesting, very interesting comment. Yes, that is good. I like what you said. Very interesting comment. Anybody else who would like to make a comment on
Actually, for pound NZD, um, after the whole push into profit, then back to drawdown, it pulled back again, and coming back to drawdown again. Like I was like, okay, let's see. Everything is just happening on the key level. Because if you watch it on the weekly time frame, you'll be seeing something different. I think you'll just be seeing like kind of weeks there. So, and I was like, okay, would this be pound NZD trying to create a lower low at this moment, or would it actually give us an equal low at that point? So, and I was just watching, then getting to see that bounce up. I think yesterday, yeah, I was like, oh wow, this looking good, and pretty much showing how strong those key levels of yours are. So it's actually a nice idea, and we're watching. Let's see what happens. If it would actually be the case of CAD CHF, which actually tried like three times to stop out, but at the end of the day, it hit take profit. So let's see how this one plays out. If these are the moves of CAD CHF, that's my
yes,
view on it.
very interesting, very interesting. Thank you so much. Any other hands? Any other person who is holding pound NZD who would like to make a comment on it just before we move on? All right. Yeah, but that's very interesting comment you guys have made. Now you see that how you felt. Okay, I think Captain was very calm. Carlos is saying that these things are happening at key level. So yeah, let's see what happens basically. And George felt like his stops would be hit, but he just allowed it to happen. Now, do you see now that how you feel and what the market is doing? There's no relationship between these two things, right? Because if you felt like after holding this trade for this long, finally we bounced right here and came into profit, but now all of a sudden we're turning around and we even closed below the key level in the daily time frame. Now, if you felt like that was a sign to close out your trade, then you would have closed out. You would have felt like, yeah, I don't think this guy will play out anymore. I mean, if it was going to play out, it would have held the key level and bounced, right? But it's coming back and it's breaking below. So if what I'm trying to explain here is, we've said this multiple times as to how your emotions can play tricks on you and how you want to remove how you feel from what the market is doing. And the market does not know that we've had all of these emotions in our head. I too felt like this trade might stop out, right? Because we had bounced off the key level after suffering drawdown, but then immediately we're turning back into drawdown. And now we're trying to close below the level. So I also felt like this trade was going to stop out. But then what is saving me, what's saving you is the discipline we have, right? Allowing the trades to play out as they are designed. Because if you allow emotions to get the best of you, then probably we'll have closed this trade. Which means that we can close the trade 2-3 times before it eventually plays out, if it's going to play out. So now you see how much tricks your emotions can play on you and how there is no relationship between how you feel and what the market is doing. So when you learn to separate these two things, you become a much better trader. Sometimes this is one of the things that affects us as traders. So I like the fact that this is happening. So it shows you live how you can withstand drawdown, how you can go through a time period when the market is not moving in your favor at the moment, how you can hold the trade and allow the market to be the market, right? You can't force it, so you can't do nothing about it. The things we explained in previous sessions was that the only things you can control is your entry point and your exit point and your position size. These are the only things you can control. Once you get involved with that trade, you can only control where you get out and how much risk you put on the trade. That's it. Every other thing is outside your control. How fast it will play out, how fast it will move, how long it will take. All of these things you have no idea about it. So there's no point of trying to stress yourself or kill yourself over things you don't have control over, if that makes sense. So yes, now as Carlos said, if we go back to the weekly time frame, this is still a break and retest, right? And in fact, we're having what looks like a morning star pattern, yeah, right? So this looks like a hanging man, and now this will look like maybe a bullish engulfing. So we'll see how tomorrow plays out to end the week. But it just shows you that yes, the market will be the market. Key levels will be key levels. They will play out and they will show their strength before your very eyes, so that you can attest and agree that yes, they are very strong. So let's see. Pound SND might still stop out, but this just shows you that if eventually it does stop out, it's going to be a 1% loss. You would have been safe from taking too many losses, trying to, in quote, cut the losses short when you should have allowed the markets to just be the market. So yes, I love the fact that this is a very fine example for us to learn from. So moving on, we have AU. AU is also trying to test another weekly level. Now, going back, this is what I was saying about levels being tricky sometimes. Now, if I bring this guy down here, you could say that this is also a level, right? A weekly level, because we have tested here multiple times. So at this point, you might feel like the market has broken above your level, right? And you might not want to sell because you might think that maybe it will come here and bounce and then go to the upside. Or you might feel like maybe you will break below the level and maybe retest the second time. But now if we move this guy all the way up here, which is another weekly level, which you can see clearly, then you can now see that, okay, maybe it does present another opportunity to sell, right? So the question now is, which of these levels would you use? If you have this level, it might adjust your analysis in some way. I hope you guys are seeing what I'm trying to explain here. So having a level here would mean that if you sold here, you might have been taken up for a loss. Now you have to wait for price to come back here and bounce, or break and test the second time. But then if you're using this level as the level you're trying to sell from, then it means that from the daily time frame, you've had your shorts. In fact, your shorts are actually running at the moment. So which of these levels would you use? That's a big question. And now this is one of the issues I used to have way back in the past, right? Way back. So it's not like any of these levels are wrong. It's just that the confidence with these levels. Now, for example, if you are sticking to maybe this guy, if you are sticking to this guy, then it means that you have to wait for something like this. Let's see. You might have to wait for like a second opportunity to sell. Get. So that's what will happen if you're using this level. But then there's another level up here, which means you could also decide to sell here. But then if you bring the two together, and that's why I said if you're not careful with your analysis, you can have what we call analysis paralysis, which is you've done so much work on the chart that you're not confused as to where the market might head next. And it's also a problem, right? If you bring these two together, it might begin to conflict, because if you want to sell here, you might not be scared of this level, thinking that it would act as support and now make your sell to play out, right? So if we come down to the daily time frame, exactly, we might feel like price will come down here and bounce and then continue to the upside, and that might prevent you from taking a sell right here. So now it's like in some way you're like in a dilemma to choose where to get involved or where not to get involved. And so this is a problem I personally faced in my early days when trying to like sell from like a higher time frame. So you see how I had to combat the problem. I did that by just picking out key levels and using them as areas where I would sell from or buy from. And now it just shows you why I said that it is not wrong to sell from any of these levels, but this is why I have chosen to do what I do, if that makes sense. So these levels are not wrong in themselves. The thing is, they don't have as much strength, or I don't have as much confidence in these levels as I would in the key levels, or what I regard as the key levels. So if that makes sense. But yeah, let's see what EU has for us. I still think that we have more downside, right? Yeah, I still think we have more downsides. Like I said, the dollar is picking up strength, and yeah, let's see what happens. EU is coming back to test the level now, so we're going to see how this also plays out. If price will find support, or if price is going to break below the level. GU is already rejecting the key level, which is what we're looking to see, right? Finding resistance here at the key level, so we're expecting a drop on pound USD at least. Now it's an idea, I wouldn't sell it, but so far from what we see, we just might see pound USD come back to test 1.27. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out. NU as well. NU is testing the resistance level, so yes, more downside is what I expect on the dollar pairs. What else? So the Swiss franc. Now you see that weeks ago we had safe haven sentiments, right? Because of what was going on in the market, we had safe haven sentiments, and the market have been leading into the Swiss franc and also Japanese yen, because these are safe havens. Now you see that the narrative is slightly changing, and the whole safe haven thing is like starting to die down. So maybe the market will begin to start looking at data, right? And like I told you guys, when it comes to the actual data, the Swiss franc and the Japanese yen, these two economies are not the best, in all honesty, right? But then they were having so much strength because of the sentiments at the time. So when the sentiments change, and maybe when they begin to align with the fundamentals, we might see a reversal on some of these pairs. It's possible. Or on the JP was starting to see something like that. So just need to keep an eye out for these things. Now, these guys are not presenting any opportunities whatsoever at the moment, so I'll just have to skim through it. Cut CHF, yeah, same thing. Euro CHF, same thing. I think we're just bouncing off support here. That's about it. Pound CHF as well, bouncing off support. I think we're coming back to test this resistance level. So we'll see how that plays out. NZD CHF as well, and yeah, USD CHF. Now this guy is also coming back to test this support level. So we're also going to find out if we're really going to find resistance. Sorry, come back to test this resistance level. So we're going to find out if this level would act as resistance or if USD CHF will break past the level, showing that this was a fake out. That's what we're going to find out. So I think that's the most I have for currencies. Now let's see. Equities are also rallying. So yeah, the S&P 500 is in profit. France 40 is also in profit. The DAX, and this guy is crazy, and it actually pisses me off that we did not find an entry. Now think about this: we missed it here. We missed it technically because we didn't have the retest, right? So we kind of missed it here. So this guy jumped all the way to the upside and pulled back, but just failed to test the level of support. Now I promise you, if this had tested, they would have bought
Okay,
it. Yeah, Abdul.
yeah, but you said that you missed it here. But I don't think you trade this kind of weakness, right? You don't trade it, right?
Exactly. So when I said we missed it, like we didn't necessarily miss it, but like it didn't exactly set up, if that makes sense. What I'm saying is the market missed the level by like a few pips, right? And rallied to the upside.
Okay.
Exactly. But then came back and then just didn't test the level. Now, if this had tested as support, they would have bought this guy alongside the other three we bought. And now would have been well in profit because the guy is pushing really well. The DAX has been on fire, literally. Now look at this dump and look at this massive recovery in just a matter of weeks. So it's been crazy. But yeah, missed it. Let's just say we missed it, but you guys know what I'm speaking of. What else? The Nikkei also.
Can you switch just to daily time frame?
Daily time frame. All right, let's see.
Oh, okay. I just want to check something out. I've seen it.
All right. So yeah, that I think that we might have a new high. Most likely we'll put in a new high. Yeah, we'll see. Now the Nikkei as well. I remember we spoke about this guy somewhere around here, and we expressed that we would like to see a retest, right? But yeah, so far we didn't get that, and the market is just rallying, right? Crazy. I mean, look at our entry. This is where we plan to buy from. I didn't even speak of Australian 200 as well. This is where we also plan to buy from. So yeah, they didn't really set up as I would like, and so I didn't take them. Also considering the fact that we are just going long, right? Which means if there's another crash, would also be affected greatly by it. But yeah, we're only on like 3 positions, and I think we're doing fine. To be very honest. Now, if all of these markets would push, if all of these equities would push, then of course the 3 we're currently in, I think we're like in some of the best trades. I think aside the DAX that didn't set up, we're buying the S&P 500, we're buying the Nasdaq. These are very monster markets, in fact. So let's see how the US economy how things play out. If all of these markets will move up, then of course these equities or these indices will also make a run for it. The Russell has broken out. I have some alerts here to notify me if these guys will pull back, right? So if this guy pulls back, I'd love to buy US 30 as well. So there's my alerts right here. We have a breakout. So if we pull back, I'd love to buy. So yeah, I think we still have to just be patient with some of these markets and see if they set up. Okay. Gold. I don't want to be too quick to speak about gold in terms of if we are putting the top, but so far it does look like this is a double top. So actually it's been a while since the market actually formed what looks like a double top. The last time it did that was sometime in December of 2024. So Will this double top mean that we might have a pullback, or is it just going to be price stalling for yet another breakout? So we'll still find out. Now, of course, it's too high for me to buy, and it's also too high for me to sell. I can't sell this guy. I'll just be hedging against the trend, and that's not something I do with this system. So I can't sell gold. Now, of course, if we come down here, that's when I begin to find interest in gold and here to see if we can pick up some longs for the future. So copper, let me see. Yeah, I think we're finally coming back to test. Yeah, I think a few more days we'll see if we hold our support. And yeah, that will tell us what will happen if we buy copper or not. Okay. So palladium, platinum, still just there to be honest. In profit, platinum also in profit, yeah. So still just there. Silver, nothing interesting for silver. So yeah, this is the most I have now. What is really pushing the equity curve today is, I'd say, the indices, right? These indices are like really pushing really well. Also, the pound. The pound gained strength shortly. Pound CAD, pound NZD, pound GPY, right? Also, the yen is weak, so it helps CHF GPY and pound GPY as well. What else do I have? So I think these guys and also these equities are pushing. So that's what is helping me to get like a new high in the equity cost. So just above 11%, somewhere near 12%. But of course, it's so far so good, but nothing to be too happy about. We still have a long way to go if all of these trades are going to play out, right? Like I said, we're looking at somewhere around 45%. So yeah, still a long way to go, to be honest. But yeah, let's see. So far so good. At least we can bank on that. So the last thing I want to look at is the US dollar itself. So DXY. Yup. Exactly. Now, this is what I was trying to say when it comes to key levels. So we came down to this key level 100, and we tried closing below it. But you see that we didn't really close below it. We tried, but of course the market is regaining strength. Now, if you come down to the daily time frame, you see this. But price trying to break above the key level just shows that this breakout is a fake out. Of course, we need the market. We need the candle to close. The money candle to close. But this is just trying to show us that sometimes some breakouts are fake outs. But now the good thing about using key levels is that you're not always going to be faked out, because the market will approach these key levels after long intervals, if that makes sense. So, for example, the dollar now, right, we're clearly finding support at the key level, as opposed to price breaking it and maybe finding resistance. So let's see. That's why I said in our previous sessions that we have to be careful about how we approach the dollar, because I personally think we bottomed out, and yeah, I think we have room for more upside for the US dollar. So if that's the case, then it means some other pairs, some other currencies will have to suffer in place of it. So we'll keep this in mind as we do analysis, and yeah, let's see how it goes. So I don't know if you guys have any questions, currencies, indices, metals, anything. Just feel free to ask.
Yeah, Cassie, I have two questions. The first one is NZD USD. I want you to go there to let us see something, because you are saying about the key levels, and there's a level which yes, that yellow bar we are looking at. The same thing you said it on audio is that these levels sometimes confuse. So I was also looking at it. I'm saying, could this be a good level, or we should wait for it to come to a key level?
Now, here's the thing. Is this a level? It is, right? You see, I've always explained with these levels that the levels it's more like a grade, right? So some levels are stronger than others. Okay, for example, I think this is a level. You can call this a monthly level, right? You can, but this is not like a 3 month level or a 6 month key level. It can go for a monthly level. Now, do I think it is wrong to sell here? Absolutely not. I think it's fine. Especially since we're in a downtrend, right? We're looking for the market to put in a lower high in this trend. Okay, so if you think about it, if this trend is going to continue to the downside, the market will have to form a lower high. The question is where. You get it? That's the question. Where will the market form the next lower high? It will either do that here, or it will come back to the key level and form equal highs. You get it? Now, do I think it's wrong to sell here? No, I don't. In fact, with the sentiment, I think it's actually a good opportunity to sell. But would I sell here? No, it's just not in line with my own system. You get now, and this is what I was saying with the levels. Sometimes in between two key levels, you can have certain resistance levels and support levels that the market will react from. This can be daily levels, weekly levels, maybe even monthly levels. You get so it just depends on how much confidence you have in those levels before you decide whether or not to sell or buy from there. It also goes back to the systems you trade. Right? Because I don't like to answer these questions as black and white, or if this happens, that happens. Because is this something you is this how you I don't know if you guys get the point I'm trying to make here. This answer is only valid if it is how you trade. So you have to look at how your system performs, how your system works, and know if this is in line with your system, right? Will you sell at daily levels, at weekly levels? Is that how you trade? Because it's not how I trade, so I can't sell this even though it's not wrong. So again, answers like this have to always connect back to the system we trade, if that makes sense. So,
Okay, understand. And understand. And the second one is good. Good. You send a information about it on a page, but you said could it be a double top or a breakout? So now I wanted to ask. So how will you define a double top?
okay. How would I define a double top? Now, a double top is a pattern that kind of expresses the lack of strength in buyers. So a double top is usually formed in an uptrend. So when price forms a double top, when the market makes a new high, when the market stretches, right, and makes a high, an impulse, it would most likely want to correct that move. So impulse correction, right? So if price pulls back or corrects, in most cases, what happens? You expect another high, right? Another leg, another impulse. So as long as the market continues to trend, it will keep doing something of that sort, right? But now, whenever we get to a point where the market starts to do this, right? Whenever this happens, it could signify momentarily that there is a lack of strength in buying momentum. If not, we would have a new high, or we didn't have a new high. The market, in fact, came here and sellers were able to hold price. There were a lot of sell orders that held price at that point, and then you see this happen. Now, if you read like classic chart pattern books, it is said that a double top is confirmed after the neckline is broken. Now, in my experience, I think the neckline differs because this ideally would be the neckline, right? Here would be the neckline for this double top pattern. So a break below this would be like supposedly a break of the neckline. I mean, this is how you see it in books. But sometimes I get to see that sometimes you have to look at the recent price action before the double top. For example, if this is a support level, I wouldn't really consider the double top confirmed, right? I would personally want to wait for, yes, the break of the neckline, but also the break of this support level for me to say, okay, fine, it does look like double top has been broken or confirmed, if that makes sense. So something like this is what I'll be looking for me to say, okay, yeah, we might have a double top. So it differs in context, right? We need like the price actions. For example, for gold, we might need a break of this guy, okay, since this will be the potential neckline. Or you could also look at this as the support level, and you would expect price to break this to confirm double top. Remember, this was supposed to be a break and retest, right? But it missed. You get it. So if you want to confirm, a double top is also a reversal pattern. You get it. So if gold needs to break this low, then if it is really a reversal, I mean, it has to break the support, right? Because if it comes here and bounces off the support, then it is not a reversal, if that makes sense. So books are books, but we also have to put in our experience on the chart. So that's how I look at double tops. Now, sometimes as well, this can happen. So hold up. Just to make this. So this can happen, right? Price can break and supposedly confirm a double top, but just break back above and continue the uptrend. So a double top is like, it's supposed to be a confluence. It's not something you look at on its own and say, definitely this is a reversal, right? Because in some cases, the market might just need a breather. It might just need to pull back and gain momentum. So sometimes the market will create that double top, break the level, break back above, test, and then just resume the uptrend like it wasn't there. So I think these are the things we just have to consider. I don't know if this makes sense.
Yeah, yes,
So
yes, you are.
all right. So which means for gold, you would ideally the safest bet would be to wait for price to break this support, right? Because the neckline and the support, they're just too close to each other. So a break of the support would now add more confluence to the downside you're looking for. So here, any other questions?
Hello, yes.
Yes, Johnny, good evening. How are you?
How you doing?
I'm fine, I'm okay.
It was on GBP NZD. I was gonna ask. About oh yes. So with the stop loss, like, do you have a certain amount of stop loss that you set, or do you go based off market structure and price action?
Yeah, price action for the most part, but I don't have a fixed stop loss rule, but I always try to make sure that my stops are well below the key level, not too far away, but as well not too close. The reason why I try not to make my stops too close to the key level is because of things like this, right? It is very likely that the market will come down here and throw a week at you. It happened with CAT CHF, it happened with so many pairs. In fact, I was caught out on NZD CHF, right? Here, right here. You see this week right here? The market stops me out before the dump you now see. It stopped me way back in November. So even though I keep my stops well above the level, sometimes I just get caught out. But the idea is to keep stops well above or below the key level so that just in case you have manipulations at the zones, you're not taken out. Because if it's too close, then you get taken out. Like for example, CAT CHF, and I'm taken out like 3 times. Let me show you. So yep, happened 1, 2, 3. So my stop was like somewhere at these highs where the arrow is pointed. So if my stop was like too close, like here, and I'll be taken out here, I'd have sold again, and then I've been taken out here, I would have sold again, and I'd have taken out here. So you see how important I use my stop loss placement, and that's why pound NZ is here. Now it doesn't mean that sometimes I don't get stopped out. Of course, like pound GPR, for example, it didn't really matter where my stop was. Look at this, right? I was still stopped out. But yeah, ideally in most cases, this is the approach I use.
Wait, Wait, can you go back to pound JPY?
Sorry, what?
Pound JPY.
Oh yeah, pound JPY. Yes. So this is an example, right? I bought here, had my stops below the key level, but then I got taken out, right? So even if I have my stops like this wide, I would have been taken out of pound GPY. So this is an example to see that sometimes the market will take you out, right? You just can't escape it. But the idea is just to keep your stuff ideally away from the key level, enough to protect yourself from like the little whipsaws that happens, but also close enough to give you a good risk to reward, right? So
Right.
that's how I did it.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Casey.
Yeah. It was a tough adjustment to make myself. I think have explained that before now because a bigger stop gives you a much lesser reward. So I didn't like the adjustment at first because I've always said like, I need to get the best reward. So the closer I keep my stop, the better reward I get. But I noticed that I was taking out too often, like too many times, to understand that it was a problem for me. So I had to sacrifice more reward for a higher win rate, right? And then of course by having more reward, you can lose 3-4 times on the same idea before it plays out. Now nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. So it was affecting the system and I had to adjust that. But it was tough. I didn't like it at first, but now I've come to love it. I've come to appreciate why I had to make the adjustments. So
Right.
yeah. All right. Yeah. Any other questions just before we look at some general?
I have a question, Casey.
Yeah, Philip, go ahead.
What's up, man? I appreciate you.
Oh,
I've
how
been
are
trading the
you?
pound JPY this week. Super awesome. Qualified for another payout. Super stoked. I closed out on my trades and I was long on GBP, JPY. Do you only trade these higher time frames, like the weekly and daily, and take that one entry that you have on the bottom at the key level? Or is it possible or different, or is it possible for you to, would you get in again, like add to your position, or excuse me, scale in is the term? Is it possible for you, or is that outside of your system?
Now that is very much on my mind, but the reason why I've not been so successful with that because of this some of the stop outs that I have. I'm still working on that aspect, right? Because I want situations where I can also scale into my trades. But I noticed that when you do scaling, sometimes you take more losses, right? So I'm still working on that aspect. I want to make sure it is very good. And remember, the system can. I'm making sure the system can work with millions, right? So I don't want to make an adjustment that would deter its ability to scale up in terms of capital to get. So if I'm also going to adjust or make that adjustment, I might make that like standalone if that makes sense. But I've not been able to successfully like add that as hybrid, like add the scalings and like the original entries on the same system. Not yet, but I'm still working on it, and I'll let you guys know how things play out. I have it in mind. I promise I do.
Hey, thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. Let's definitely
All
talk more
right.
about it in the Discord.
Yeah, of course, definitely. So yeah, but of course, I have that in mind because there are times when the market will feel like a higher low somewhere, and I'll have to like get in and ride the trade. So these things are in my mind, but of course, I have to make sure that any adjustments, any additions I make do not deter the system. Now, I'm currently testing the system on like $1 million account and a $5 million account. These are two retail accounts, demo accounts, yes, but I'm currently testing the system and insane results so far. Currently up like 200K on the $5 million account. I opened that like last month, and currently up like I think 112K. I think. I mean with the running trades on the $1 million account. So I'm testing things right, and I have to make sure that the scalability is there. So I don't want any of the adjustments I'm bringing to affect it. You get. So I'm working on these things on the side, and if I see them fit to come into the system, then of course I'll add it. But so far, no, not yet.
Thank you, Casey. I appreciate you explaining why not. Your point about having a long-term mindset and not just like a quick cash mindset. In addition to that, you're talking about managing large amounts of funds, preparing and aligning yourself with the vision of being a 7, 8 figure trader. And that's what we're all aiming for. So
Exactly.
thank you so much, brother, for reminding us.
Of course, man. Of course, anytime, anytime. I have to make sure to keep these goals in mind, right? So that we don't fluctuate. Now, of course, there are times when I've missed out on some opportunities. I remember last year, these guys, right? Pound 80 here and here. Like I saw them. We talked about all of these trade ideas. I just didn't buy them. Pound 80 here and here. Pound NZD as well. Let me see. Um, Pound NZD here, here, and here. I think we had 80 card. 80 card this year as well. I think we had this retest that was up here as well. Like there are so many opportunities. I think NZD CHF. Some of these pairs did present little scalings, but of course I need to test enough. Okay, I'm doing all of the testing. I'll let you guys know how these updates come into play. And yeah, if it works out, that would be insane. I promise you. But then I'm trying to make sure the win rate is still very high. Okay, still somewhere around like maybe 50 to 70%. If I can do that and the scalings are successful, now this would be crazy. This would be crazy. But I'm still trying to make sure because again, so much risk goes into the trades, even though it's like maybe 1%. For example, if it's a 500K account, it's like $5,000 per trade. So I don't want to see any of my trades stopping out in like a day or two and losing 5K on such positions. So I'm just careful on these things, if that makes sense. But yeah, any other questions, please, just before we move on. Okay.
I have
All right. So
I have one
okay.
last comment, Casey. I'm so sorry. But
All right.
I
That's
wanted
fine.
to say thank you for the input on mindset of not just profits and strategy system, but as well as maintaining drawdown and having drawdown goals. Since we had that talk last week, brother, I've made that the forefront of my trading is just to have a 1% drawdown goal on my profit for my funded account, and it's just been amazing. It's been amazing. Up nearly, I want to say 3% while maintaining a below 1% drawdown. Thank you for that. I want to credit you for that, Casey. So what you're teaching, what you're doing is very valuable, and it actually helps because it helped me.
That's wonderful to hear. And the thing is, as long as you're applying these lessons, you're going to be better traders. And I've said this before, right? We're in the month of May, and for some of us here who have been very consistent, we started sessions like in January, and I promise you, you're not the same trader you were in January, right? A lot of the lessons we've had, all of the life sessions we've been coming to, the consistency is there. As long as you're applying the things we teach, okay? You see me trade live, you see me take all the setups way beforehand. Like I come most of my setup like months beforehand. It gets there, I take it. You see everything, we talk about everything. There's no way you're not going to make progress. It's just not possible. So I like the fact that you guys pay attention. Okay, one of the things that blew my mind was the journals, right? How you guys actually track the trades, and that's true. Johnny, I think you've not been so active the last few weeks, so we're actually reviewing journals now this month of May, and I know you have your journal. So we've had this conversation before now. So I made it possible for you as well because it was not possible for us to do that before now, but I think we can now. So if you have your journal, you can just send it to me. I think you have Notion, so you can just send it to me on Discord, a link to your journal, so that I can review it. And then one of the subsequent sessions we're having like here, we can review the journal together as well. So I know that was on your mind for so long. So I think this is possible now.
Yes, yeah.
So just make sure to send it to me. Ideally, you would send a link. If you have issues, I don't know if you were here on Monday when we described how to share the links. But if you don't know how to, then of course I'll help you out with Discord, so that you can send me a link to your journal, so that we can review it the next time we're here.
Okay.
So,
Yes, I'm gonna send you
all right,
a message in Discord.
all right, that's cool. So yeah, just going back to my point, it is just interesting to see that you guys took your trades and tracked your trades. It's beautiful. It just shows like it's not like I didn't expect it, but like it just shows that what we're teaching is getting to you, and then you're applying these things. So I'm happy, and then again, it just makes me want to come on to the live sessions because if we're just speaking and no one is taking the lessons and applying them, then it will really motivate us to teach, right? But yeah, you're doing these things, and that's why we're so happy to teach, and that's why we're doing this. So again, thank you guys for the input because without you guys, these sessions would not even be a success. So I think I also have to mention that. Yeah, promise. Promise is not okay. Okay, so Abdul, I think we can just review your journal now. I was looking at it earlier today, so
Yeah, okay.
yeah, let's do that. Let me see. Now, before we get into that, I threw a poll yesterday, and the poll was pretty much asking if you have back tested the systems you currently use. Now, it's a very important question we're asking because, like I said, it helps us to understand those in the community who have not tested their systems, and yeah, it helps us to know how we can address those issues better. But I also saw reviewing the journals. I also saw a need for back testing. Of course, we have that scheduled. I in fact planned that we'll take that as the next boot camp that we're having, but it just occurred to me that is something we're going to discuss more than once, right? So I think I'll just have to adjust the boot camp and then treat a different topic on the boot camp, but then come back and treat back testing because back testing is not something we're going to just do once, right? It's something we're going to do like from time to time. So it will take a couple of sessions for us to completely discuss back testing as a subject. So, but then reviewing your journals, I see that yes, there is in fact a need for proper back testing, and I'll show you guys how we go about it as time goes on. Oh yeah, let me see. Abdul, I think your journal is here, so I'll probably can come back. Right. Okay, that's true. Damien, I reached out to you on Discord. I think that was you. I reached out to you on Discord, letting you know that your link, I could not access your journal because I needed to request access to it. So I think I requested access, but I don't know if you've seen it. But I also texted you on Discord to let you know that I could not see your journal. Like I can see, but I can't access it. So if you can grant me access to it, that'll be fine. Can you hear me?
Is that me?
No, that's Damien. Damien, I think he's here.
Yes. I actually didn't see the text. I haven't been on Discord years, but currently I'm also not in a position to do that. I'm not with my laptop now, so when I get access to
Oh,
my laptop, I'll do that for you.
okay. No, that's fine. I just wanted to let you know because I know I reached out to you on Discord, but maybe you didn't see it. So now you're here. I just have to mention that to you. So please, whenever you get your laptop, just help me grant access so that I can see it.
All right, sure.
All right. Okay. So Abdul, can you see my screen? Or can you guys see my screen?
Yes, you can see.
All right. Abdul, I think you're here because it's a journal.
Yes, I'm here.
So all right, sweet. Very interesting. Now I didn't look at everything, not yet. I'm still doing that, but I want to speak on the little I've seen so far. Let's see. Hold up. Okay. First off, I noticed something with the losses. There are times when I'll see -3 hour. Why is that? Why are you having a 3% loss on one
Actually,
idea? That's simple.
actually, that's why that's why you give me the what's it called, the idea of PL1 and PL2. So actually, my loss supposed to be like 1 hour, you understand? But because of the past mistake that I made or something like I extended my losses, sorry, my stop loss sometimes. So meanwhile, in open, like I'll be hoping that okay, straight my probably reverse or so or something like that. So like I just add like some emotional issue or something like So I extended my losses. So that's where the problem come from.
Oh yeah, I remember NZEJPY. Oh, this guy. Okay. Yeah, I think I get it now. But then think about it. It's also I haven't come down to April yet, but I can still see the pattern here on gold, right? I can still see the pattern here, which means even as at the 30th of April, you are still extending your stop losses.
Yeah, actually, it's happened again, but it didn't quite turn out well because I'm still working on that part. I'm still working on it.
Okay, that makes sense. But first of all, like, I haven't really got, like I will speak on the trades, but just to touch on this aspect of P&L, I noticed that the losses have drastically affected your performance, right? Of course, these are in the past, and these are like maybe past mistakes. But even the fact that it's occurring in April shows that it's something that needs to be worked on. Now, think about it, right? You have one. This is supposed to be the opposite if you think about it, right? Your losses are supposed to be lesser than your wins. Okay, so first of all, it is a principle you're already breaking. Okay, so see it as that. See it as you're breaking a core principle of trading. Your losses should never be greater than your wins, right? At best, your wins should be 1.52 times your losses. You get it? So you're not supposed to have consecutive um times where you're losing 3% of your account. I mean, if I'm risking 3% of my account per trade, it means I'm looking to make 3 times my original return, if that makes sense. So I think this is bad, to be very honest. This is a clear break of a core principle of trading. Okay, and I'm concerned because I didn't see it in April. I didn't really look at the P&L for April, but now I'm seeing it. 30th of April was like less than 2 weeks ago, so which means it is still a very recent problem. So I think it is something you need to seriously work on. Not just work on, it's something you need to stop. Okay? Something you need to stop. It just means you're not following your plan because I'm sure that it wasn't in your plan to lose 3%. Now let me play a real example with this P&L. Now let's say you had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 wins. Now each of these wins have 1 hour, right? I'll delve into the traits and see why. But each of these wins have 1 hour. Now you have 6 wins of 6 hour. Now look at this. 2 losses, just 2 losses have wiped out the wins you've had. Now, of course, if I would scroll on, you see it maybe took some time for some of these trades to play out. Now you have to wait all of these days to take profit, only for you to lose 3% and take all of your profits. That can be very painful. So right off the bat, I think this is one adjustment you need to make. Okay, what it means is you're not supposed to record. Can you hear me?
Yeah, like I'm saying okay.
Okay. So in May, you're not supposed to record the trade with a 2% loss. Okay, that's one of the things you need to write down. Let it be part of the journal. It should be in your plan. You should not have a trade with a 2% loss. If you do, it means you're breaking your rules. Okay, let's do that. There's a clear adjustment that needs to be made. Also, when I saw how you track your trade, this is beautiful, by the way. I like the way you track your trades. But then I have to mention something. So I saw USDJPY, and I think it's something we all missed. What we did with the trade, if we bought or we sold, I think we need to have a column that specifies that. Okay, now let me tell you why. For example, let's say pound JPY, right? It's ranging, And now the trade type here says continuation. Now, is the continuation a buy or a sell? We don't know that. We can only find out if we come down to the chart and look at it. You get. But sometimes by having that column for buy/sell, and then you include a buy or a sell, it gives us like kind of a better idea of what you did with the trade idea. Another example I will give you is this USDJPY, right? So you have a downtrend here, and then it says it's a reversal. So if you have a downtrend, a reversal simply means that you bought, right? Because if you're selling a downtrend, then that's not a reversal. Does that make sense?
Yes, yeah. I bought the USDJPY.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, I said, yeah, that's true. Like, the reversal says downtrend, and like the structure says downtrend, and I bought then. No, I don't. Okay.
Yeah, but then you didn't buy. That's the thing. You sold.
Yeah, I didn't buy. Yeah, I'm
yes,
sorry, I
you
didn't
sold.
buy. Like,
Exactly. That's why I was concerned. Exactly. So I remember the trade. We spoke about UJ, and you were on the short side of things. So let me just open the both trades up. So USDJPY. Let's see.
I think I was talking about one trend.
Now let's dissect. Now let's dissect this better. Now UJ has pretty much never really been in a downtrend, first of all. Now think about this. Let's look at this idea first, because this is when you sold. Is this a downtrend?
When I sold. So that's what I considered as structured then. So like it was later on you now corrected me that okay, I should check for the entire on the monthly time frame. So that's how I'm going to get my total structure. Like that's how I'm going to get the structure of the pricing, like of the chart or something. So before we are
Okay.
by this time I haven't you still haven't told me how to get how to go about the structure of the chart then.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's a reversal, right? It's a reversal, but because it's an uptrend. So I think the calling for reversal is correct, but it was pretty much an uptrend because you sold in an uptrend. That's what makes this a reversal. And if you think about it, it was a break of a trend line, which means market was moving up. It was a break that made you sell. But now, something else I needed to correct was your reason, your entry type, right? You said here, retest on key level. But this wasn't a retest. You get, there was a break of a trend line. So that's something that we need to check for. We need to make sure that the entry type is correlating with what the chart is saying. So this just means we need to put a better eye on how we track, right? So that it helps us with accurate information. So this is not a break and retest. It was not also a retest of any key levels. It was a break of a trend line that got you into the trade. So that's also an adjustment. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, what I meant by retest on the key level was that, the price it tested on, it touched it's retested on a major level of resistance. So that's what I meant by retest on the key level.
A major level of resistance. So which of the levels are you speaking of? This one here?
Right from the past or something. Okay, right from March or something. I was talking about this in the way the price has been reversing right from 24th of March. Then.
Okay. Yeah, I remember. But okay, now what I understand here is we're looking at this in hindsight, right? So you've grown in your knowledge and how you analyze the markets, right? So this is pretty much like what you were doing in the past. But now, if you think about it, this was not. It wasn't really any retest. I mean, I'm not seeing a retest here. You get. Also, if there was any key level, the only key levels I can see is the one in the blue, the one down here at 140.7, and also the other minor key level that's at 149, where we had the first bounce, in December. So your sell, I don't really see any retest of any key level, right? So it shows that we have to be careful about the intonations and
Okay.
the word we use. Yes, the words we use, because you see this and you might think that it's a key level, but it's still really a key level. But from the chart, I would not say so. So I think this would also matter in the new adjustments we're making, like the records for May. I have to be careful about how we record that. So I think I noticed that. What else did I see? Let me see.
Hello, Casey.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, okay. So on USJPY, so like instead of test on key level, like under the entry type, like what can you say the entry type is, or can we say that the entry type is quite wrong or something?
No, the entry type for this would be a breakout of a trend line. It's a breakout of a trend line that got you into selling USDJPY.
Okay.
So you would say, yeah, you would say trend line breakout. That's what the entry type would be. Now let me put this into proper perspective, because I think I looked at CHF GPY, yes. So now look at this, right? This is a break and retest. But this is not any retest. There's no retest, right? On USD on USD JPY. There's no retest of any, as opposed to this. Like, you cannot deny that this is a break and retest on CHF JPY, right? It's a retest of a level. You get. So when you see the chart, you can agree. But with USD JPY, these two trades are different. I mean, we can see that, right? So it just shows that we need to be careful about how we record them so that they make sense, and then they make sense with the chart. You get. So
Okay.
All right. So let me see. So I think these are some of the things I looked up for. And then I started to see a pattern, right? I started to see that some of these trades were break and retest, and other trades you just call them retest on key levels, which means they are different, right? Which means they're different. So I'm trying to pay attention to the patterns, right? Because these are two different entry types, obviously. So I've not tried to compare them and things like that. But now here's one of the things a review will help us do, or what I would want to do as part of the review. For example, you have your losses. Although I can't edit your journal, okay, because of how let me show you. Yeah, I can only view it. Okay, I can't edit it. But then I wanted to do something like this. All right, filter out the losses. Okay, filter out the losses, and then see where most of the losses fall under. Do they fall under reversals? If yes, do they fall under ranging market structures? You get. Do they fall under ranging market structures, and do they fall under reversals? How many losses did you take as a result of trying to catch a reversal? How many losses did you take as a result of trying to catch or trade in a range? You get. So a journal like this can help us filter things like that out. Something else is the entry time frames. How many losses did you take because you sold or you bought on the 4-hour time frame? Also, some of the things that are like not really spoken of well is like the breakout and the retest, or the retest of the key levels. Which of the key levels are they? Are they like the daily key levels, or the weekly key levels, or the monthly key levels? These things you don't have them here, but I can see them from the chart. You get. So I've not finished looking at your journal. I just went through I think just this part, and then I was concerned about the things I saw. That's why I said I was going to point these things out to you, but I still have to look at them, look at it properly, if that makes sense. So
okay.
So what I would say you should do is I want you to send the link again, but this time do the adjustments so that I can edit. Right? Just make the adjustments here. I think Carlos did so. So make the adjustments here so that I can edit your journal. I won't edit it, but it helps me to do some of these few things.
Okay, so you'll be able to edit it, right?
Exactly. So I will not necessarily edit, change something, but I can be able to look at this. I can be able to highlight and select things I would need for the review to get.
Okay, so
So,
what can I do like for you to be able to have access to it or something?
so you share the link again, but this time now when you're sharing the link on your end, you're going to see something like this. Anyone with the link can view. I think there are like two options. So I think you choose the second option that anyone with the link can edit, right? So you click that and then
Okay,
copy the link. That way I can now make adjustment here on it.
all right.
So well, this is beautiful. Now I think yours Carlos, George, I think Damon is coming up soon. Captain has sent his. I'm waiting for Johnny. Promises he's not steady right now. I think his network might be disturbing him. But he also sent his, and I think you guys remember he did not journal with Notion. He journal with something else, and I've not really had the time to properly look at his. So I needed to point that out to him today, but it seems like the network is not really allowing him to sit on the session. But yeah, I think I'll still come back on Monday with like a better review. But I don't really have the time to look through everything. But yeah, I have enough data. I think with Abdul and I think with Carlos, I have enough data to go through things. And I'll just take my time and then come back with like a better review.
Yeah, all right.
So
All right. I will send the link then.
yes, please do. Please don't forget that. So you and I think Johnny as well. So Johnny, please also send your link to your journal so that I can also review it. And Damien, yes, Damien. So please grant me access. So I think these are some of us who have sent our journals. Yeah. Any questions? Any questions?
Yeah, actually, I
Any
wanted to
questions?
hear your honest opinion, like your opinion on my journal, because even till now, like I'm still feeling like the journal is still not like I'm just journaling, but I still don't know how to pick up my mistakes from there or something like where I've been liking right from January or so. But since you said you haven't gone through the journal totally yet or something, so I'll need to wait till Monday then.
Yeah, so that's why I want to look at it properly for me to say something on it. Now I've already pointed out some things I can already see, such as your losses being big. Now this is already detrimental to your performance. I promise you, these big losses are seriously affecting your performance. Okay, so that's one change you already need to make. Now these are the things I want to take my time and yes, just look at them before I say something. Now in terms of again, just results. January and February look like break even. March and April, it just shows that you're not really having a bad month, but because of the losses you're taking, like because your losses are like 3 times and 2 times what you're supposed to lose, you're having like red months. When ideally, for example, April, I think you should have had a slightly decent month. Sorry, in March, I mean, but because of the losses you're taking, for example, 3% here, 3% here. That's a 6% loss in just 2 trades. That's crazy. That's crazy. So that's what I can see already from like the performance. But then I want to also see how you tracked the trades, what mistakes you made in terms of the key level, how we can actually isolate the trade types, the entry time frames, the reversals, the continuations, the structure. These are the things I want to look out for. And I'll let you know. Okay, I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah. So all right, I think that is about it. And like I said before, as we're creating the new journals, not new, but like as we're recording for May, please, I said before that we should make sure we have a demo account. Okay, so create a demo account, preferably MT5, and make sure that all the new trades you're taking are May. Yep.
Yeah, sorry, lest I forget. Okay, you talked about like as you input whether it's a buy or sell. Like I think that section would be maybe I think it should be buy or sell, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, so like you just need to edit this, like add a column here. It would ideally be at the end, but then you have to drag it all the way here. But then it's a column that's you have like buy slash sell, and under each column you can do it like this, like the trade type and entry type, right? Have buy and have sell. If it's a buy, you click buy. If it's a sell, you click sell. So you don't have to type it for every entry you get, but you need to
Okay.
break it down. If it's buy or sell. Now that way we know outright what you did. If you bought or you sold, we can tell, and then we can tell if it makes sense based on the structure and based on the trade type you get. For example, if the structure is a downtrend and then it's a reversal and you bought, it makes sense. So we understand what you did and things like that. But if you add sell, you see these things just become better. You get. So we can easily know what you did. If it was a buy, if it was a sell, all of these things are just clear. So if you guys can make that adjustment, that'll be fine. So
Yeah. All right. All right.
I think that's about it. So as just like I was saying, if we can create a demo account, make sure all the trades we're taking, we are actually taking trades. This way, it keeps us accountable. It makes it possible that whatever we have on the journals is very similar to what I have on the account. I mean, aside spread and the little differences we see. So that way, you're just more accountable to your trades. And then you can actually link your demo account as a track record you get. So that's something else you want to do. It just helps your journal become much better. It becomes more real to you. So that way, you're not just analyzing your trades and waiting for them to play out and then coming to record it. You're actually taking the trades, sitting through the journal, everything. So now, when you want to write a review or a remark, you would write it from your heart, right? You would write it because you actually did take the trade. You experience everything you experienced, how you feel, everything. You can actually put them down and it makes sense. So you're not just going to be writing a review or a remark because you want to fill up the space, but you write it because of the experience you've had with the trade. For example, pound NZD now, what we're currently buying. If the trade stops out or plays out, we know what to write because we've been in the trade, right? So we know exactly what to say about the trade. So, but then if we just kept it on trading view and then we're allowing it to play out or stop out, we don't really know how we felt. So actually buy it and then hold through the drawdown, watch it come close to our stop loss, all of those things. But this is why you need to actually take the trade because it helps you improve. It helps you become better. So if that makes sense, please.
Is this a template?
Uh, I think this is what he did. I think this is what Abdul created. Now I kind of explain how we can do this, like earlier sessions, previous sessions, and I think they have pretty much the same thing. This is colors, slightly different, but like same thing, like same idea, right? So you just need Notion, and yeah, Notion is like the application to use. And yeah, you can have this. So
Nice, guys. Is Notion free or is it subscription?
no, it's free, completely free. It's free.
Thank you.
So all right. So yeah, any other questions just before we wrap up? Any other questions?
That's it. So today, there was a news about Donald Trump and the UK Prime Minister. They agree on a trade war. So will it affect the GBP or the USD?
Yeah, I think it's a trade deal. Let me see. Trump, yeah, US and the UK. I think they were making headway for a trade deal. I think it's, let me see, was it written down here? I don't have that here. Hold on. Now, will it affect the dollar? I think it's part of why the dollar is even gaining strength, to be honest. I think the dollar would gain more strength than the pound. Not like, I have to be sure of that news event. Hold up. Where's that? Where's that? Where's that?
I was
Where's that?
listening.
I think I tried reading the article today.
I was listening. Now they were saying about steel and car parts and Boeing, the
Yeah,
airplane engine and things. Yeah, I was talking about those things. Now I was thinking, so like, which country will benefit?
exactly. Now, I think both of them, to be honest, but I think dollar benefits more. I think dollar benefits more, but then it's not signed, right? From what I understood, this trade is a deal, right, between US and UK, and this deal is not signed yet. But then just the news of, because think about this, right? Some of these countries are trying to like make deals. So any news of a deal aside a war, right? So as opposed to what US and China were doing, right, where there was no headway between both of them. Each of these countries were just increasing tariffs on goods and services. So with UK, there's like a headway to get. So it's like the market is sharing this. Any news of a headway of a trade deal makes sense, and the market is sharing it. So I think it was just the announcement or like the news that there's some sort of trade deal between US and UK that is making the dollar strengthen, and they're making equities rally even higher. You get so more of these things will come up as time goes on. We'll be sure if really this will be signed. I'm not sure it's signed yet from what I saw the last time. So we'll find out. But then again, Trump is crazy. Like,
Okay,
if you,
so
yeah, I'm listening. Go
I was
ahead.
saying, yes, okay, I was saying like, will it create a sentiment on the market, like the investors who put their money in the dollar or the
Exactly.
UK, like
Exactly. So it's
market
a good
sentiment
thing.
will
That's what I'm trying
happen.
to explain.
Okay,
No, it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing because how to explain now? It helps to support appetite, like the deal between both. Now let me see. Now one thing I'm looking to do as time goes on is also to um send out articles for you guys. But that's when we begin to speak on the fundamentals. But I'm not trying to do much of that right now, and that's why I don't want to confuse you. But that's one thing that would also do, read articles that explain some of these things so that it makes sense. It's already good. Like in terms of market sentiment, it's good for us. It's good for the entire global market, if that makes sense. So let's see if we can read this. Now I'm also very skeptical and picky about the articles I read because I'm trying not to get too involved with the fundamental. Like, of course, I'm involved, but like too involved. So let's read this. US UK deal helps to support risk appetite. So stocks are steady despite gloomy outlook because over the past 24 hours, both the Fed and the Bank of England, sorry, hold on, one that the outlook for their respective economies is worsening, though the former seems in no hurry to cut rates, while the latter's divided policy committee indicates that rate cuts may continue at a slower than expected pace. Now, this already explains that the former, being the Fed, are in no hurry to cut rates, which is why we saw that the Fed did not cut rates, right? But then the latter, which is the Bank of England, they have a divided policy committee, which means that rate cuts may continue, but at a slower than expected pace, which means it will continue, but may not as fast as people expect. Of course, the Bank of England today cut rates. Get it. So, despite this, stock markets around the globe continue to edge higher, though in a far more measured pace than was the case in April. Risk appetite remains fragile since investors remain on the watch for signs that a recession is beginning to appear in the data. Of course, the US. The FTSE is unimpressed by the UK-US deal. The mid-cap index rises. The past 2 weeks have seen the UK mid-cap 250 index overtake the FTSE India rebound from April. Now, this is speaking of another index in the UK, not the FTSE. The FTSE is for like the top 100, but this is for like mid cap companies in the UK. So I think I'm going to have to set for the index. I don't really trade this index. I don't think it's available as for me as a CFD trader. So that's why I don't really look at it, to be honest. Let's see. Worries about some of the latter's heavyweight dividend payers have helped the FTSE, but at least UK focused firms can breathe easier now that the US and UK have signed. I don't really signed it. I don't know. Have signed a framework trade deal. So again, this is good. Like I said, it kind of supports risk capital. And it's pretty short, but yeah, pretty short and concise. But this is good. So from time to time, I'll have to make sure this is something I can send on the channel. But I also want to discuss this with Momo, make sure we're all up to date with the fundamentals, how to read, how to understand these things before I can start to send these things out. Oh, yeah, this is an example. So an article like this would kind of explain where we're at in terms of the market. So I think it's healthy. Okay, I think the deal is healthy from what we see. So I hope that makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Now there are some other places I can look up for articles, but yeah, I think we'll discuss that a later time. I'm trying to, when it's time for the fundamentals, I'll discuss that properly, and then I can start talking about articles. But I don't want to confuse you guys just yet, right? That's why I'm not speaking much about things like this. But yeah, any other questions just before we wrap up?
Hello, Casey.
Yeah,
Hello, Casey. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I was about knowing your bias on USD CHF course. You know, we actually have a level we're looking at taking the sales off from, and currently we can see what have actually
Seems like your network is kind of shaky. Is it just me? Okay, no, it's not. Okay, it's blocked.
Yeah, so I don't know. I was just
I can
wanting
hear
to
you, Colin.
know. I was wanting to know what would be your take on UC, considering the strength dollar is just gaining like for the past 2 days now. Whether you still mind selling off 0.844 thousand on USD CHF. So that's my question, please.
Now I think we'll just have to see how the market how price reacts to that level, right? So the question is, will the market find resistance at that level? Is it going to meet level as resistance, or will price break out of the level? Remember, it is one thing for price to get to a level; it's another thing for price to respect the level as either support or resistance. So I'm not in a hurry. So EU is also pulling back, right? So I'm not in a hurry for any of these trades. I think we'll just wait and see. The market will tell us, right? It will tell us if we find resistance, if we find support at the end of these levels, then it means that I might look to get involved. But if the market just breaks through, then of course there will be no need to get involved. But let's see.
Oh, okay. Because I
Now
was
I
also
also
about asking about EU.
okay. Go ahead.
For you. I said I was about talking about EU, the pullback to I think 200 thereabouts. But you just said it's waiting to see how price
Yeah,
reacts at those levels.
exactly. Now something else I've always said, right, is that when price gets to a key level, the question is, are we dealing with a fake out or not? we might be dealing with a fake out. For example, USCHF can pull back there and momentarily find resistance. Momentarily, for like a short while. Now, even though it finds resistance, we might sell it and then still get stopped out because it was still a fake out. So sometimes if price pulls back and finds support or resistance momentarily, it doesn't automatically mean that the trade idea is completely guaranteed. You get. So it is possible for USCHF to pull back there, find resistance for a short while, and yet break out. Think about it. It's the same thing EU did, right? When we saw it was a breakout, it was a retest, price found resistance for a moment, we sold, and then it stopped out, right? So even though it found resistance at that point, it did not guarantee that it was going to play out. So it was still a fake out at the end of the day. You get it? So it doesn't, the fact that we might see a retest doesn't guarantee that, okay, it just means we're going to head down. You get it? So we also have to prepare for these scenarios. So,
Yeah, of course, I get. Thank you very much.
all right, sweet. So I hope you guys have a fantastic week. I mean, we've already had a fantastic week so far. But yeah, let's see how the week runs out. I'd like to see how GN closes tomorrow. I will play a vital role. And then, yeah, see how the market continues to move on. Now, this Fed pause is quite good for the dollar, I must say. I say it's quite good for the dollar. Now, I think, like I said, the market is seemingly looking back to like the data. I think we'll now start to focus on the data coming out, retail sales, unemployment, all of these things. Begin to see if the market will start reacting to this data since the whole tariff thing is beginning to die down, maybe. So yeah. Anyways, so far so good. We're doing really well, like I've said. Okay. So we're all doing well. Let's continue to keep the pace. And yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday. All right. So once again, thank you for showing up today. And yeah, see you on Monday.
Yes, bye bye. Thank you too, boss.
Yes. Thank you, boss. Of course, man.
Yeah,
Anytime.
thank you.
Anytime.
Appreciate. God bless.
Of course, welcome, man. You are all welcome.
Thank you so
So
much,
yeah, let
Casey.
me
I'll
stop
catch you later,
recording.
brother.
Yeah, Philip. Of course, we'll catch up. Thanks, man.